What, you got a problem? What is it, a musket?
It's a musketoon.
Does it play a song?
Can you just fire the damn thing already?
Merci beaucoup.
When it comes to Chumlee on Pawn Stars, you honestly know what to expect. A lot of goofiness, and for him to botch a few things every now and then. But every once in a while, he does a really good deal, even if he doesn't know it at the time. Let me show you some examples of times Chumlee honestly did good on Pawn Stars.
Just a reminder about our new giveaway. We're giving away the new iPad Pro or the new iMac Pro. The choice is yours. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.
5. The potato.
It's a potato, man, but it ain't just a regular potato. This it dates back to the 60s. Martin Luther King got hit with this during his peace riot.
Look, let's be honest here for a second. One of the biggest reasons we watch Pawn Stars as a whole is the items. Every episode promises to bring something interesting, classic, historical, or even out of this world. It's interesting to see what surprises are in store for us, even if we see our jaws dropping at the stupidity of the item or the seller at hand. And yeah, sometimes they get really stupid with what they bring, like when a guy tried to sell Chumlee a potato for an insane amount of money. And no, I'm not making this up one little bit. This all happened when a customer named Sean Price came into the gold and silver pawn shop with a goal. And yeah, that goal was indeed to sell a potato. I'm still not making this up. It happened and you're watching the footage to prove it. Now, if this was an ordinary potato, he wouldn't have gotten in the door. It did have some significance. Mainly that it was a potato that he claimed was actually thrown at and hit Martin Luther King Jr., who was one of the biggest voices of the civil rights movement and is a figure who's revered for his activism to this day. So if this had indeed been a potato that came into contact with him, it honestly would be worth something, which is obviously the reason he was let on camera. But if you think about it, that's kind of hard to prove, right? And that was indeed the case. There was no documentation or proof that this was indeed a potato that did what he thought it did. Funnily enough, Chumlee honestly knew that, which we should be grateful for, because not even he could be that dumb to trust the customer on the history of a potato based solely on his word, especially since Sean Price was asking $100,000 for it. Yeah, I can't believe he asked for that either. Instead, Chumlee bought the potato for $2.25, and Price seemed fine with that. This whole interaction is weird from top to bottom. First and foremost, who asks $100,000 for a potato, even a famous potato? Heck, even if this was indeed the potato that did what he said it did, it wouldn't be worth that much. Then for Chumlee to get it for under $3 without the customer complaining? I mean, can you try and explain that? Let this be a lesson to you all. Nothing is too over the top or weird to be on Pawn Stars. 4. The White Sword of Rick.
But it's not for sale. I'm just putting it in the case. So,
What do you mean it's not for sale?
not for sale. Pretty self-explanatory.
I have $16,000 worth of merchandise. It's for sale.
No.
Chumlee has many faults, but one of the biggest is that he doesn't listen, which is bad because he tends to not listen to Rick Harrison, which should get him fired, but this is television. The other fault is that when he does listen, he only hears specific orders and such and often does what he wants to, which should get him in more trouble, but sometimes it helps him cash in big. Starting off this story in style, Rick had bought a 17th century katana, which is a sword made in Japan. But this particular one wasn't for sale in the shop. Rather, Rick personally sent this sword to Japan for the sole purpose of it getting fully restored, and being an item in the shop for people just to look at and not buy. This kind of thing happens more than you think in the gold and silver pawn shop. Eye Candy brings in customers and shows off some of the high-quality items they have. Plus, Rick is known to have items in the shop that are just his own to be happy about. Anyway, the status of the sword was made very clear to both Chumlee and Corey, who were there when the sword was returned to Rick. He noted that the sword itself was around $35,000 in terms of worth now and was not to be sold under any circumstances, and these orders would never, ever be disobeyed. Right? It might have been followed, to be fair, but a certain customer came in and changed the game. It happened when a man by the name of Dana White entered the gold and silver pawn shop. If you somehow don't recognize that name, he's the face of the UFC, one of the most popular combat sports on the planet. Dana White came into the store because he was looking for a classic sword to buy, and Chumlee didn't hesitate 1 second to offer up Rick's sword. That seems like a bad idea. In terms of the deal itself for the restored white sword, he only got $30,000, which is a loss of $5,000, but he got Dana White to purchase another $30,000 worth of other swords, thus increasing the profits made. So overall, he did well and proved he can negotiate even with a tough businessman like Dana White, who knows how to make good deals. Trust us. Later on, when Rick asked Dana to come back to talk about the sword he wasn't supposed to buy, Rick got him to buy another sword for $9,000. This is a tricky one because Rick was clearly miffed that Chumlee had sold his beloved sword without even asking him about it. But yeah, he did make some good profit for the store and get Dana freaking White to buy some stuff at the shop. A lot of stuff, in fact. So does it balance out? Only Rick knows. 3. The samurai swords.
I don't know if you're gonna be okay on this one, dude.
Dude, I'm gonna be fine, Corey. I paid under $5,000 for these.
What's that? You want another sword story? Well, lucky for you, I have one. Oftentimes, Chumlee lets his childlike exuberance get the best of him and buys things because he thinks they're cool, which is fair in some instances, but it usually backfires. But in this particular story, that didn't happen. This particular case came when a customer brought in a set of samurai swords. Chumlee was on duty, and he was truly amazed by them. But there was a problem. He was so enamored with them that he didn't consult with another person or expert about them, which is a big faux pas in the pawn world. Rather, he bought the set of swords for $4,000. That's not to say that the swords weren't worth that much, but this was a case of him not taking steps to protect him and the shop by going to their vast network for advice. Sure enough, when the Harrisons found out what Chumlee had done, they weren't happy. Mainly because they had thought the swords were fake, which happens in the pawn world more than you think. Rick Harrison was so mad about this that he brought in an expert to do damage control and see how much money Chumlee had lost them. And that's where the twist in the story comes in, because they weren't fake at all. They were made by known makers according to the expert, and one of them was even dated to have been made in the 1400s, one of the heydays of the katana and samurai. And while one of the swords had some fake branding, the rest of it was real and was still worth some good money. So that was a true set of samurai swords that Chumlee bought. Can you believe it? He lucked out and hit a home run. All told, the experts stated that the swords were worth $13,000. So even with the $4,000 that was used to buy them, that was $9,000 profit, which is leagues above what Chumlee usually does for the shop. Now, yeah, Rick was quick to point out that luck played a big part in this deal, but luck isn't always a bad thing, you know? It's something that can lead to fun things and purchases and a set of epic and valuable samurai swords. 2. Tupac's BMW.
All right, so this is supposed to be the most amazing car on the planet.
It's pretty dang close. I mean, Tupac probably wrote some poems in this thing.
Full disclosure, Chumlee didn't make money on this deal, but it was a unique case of his knowledge trumping what Rick Harrison had, and that's rare. Cars come to the Pawn Stars somewhat frequently, but Chumlee isn't the guy to trust when it comes to car recommendations. But that wasn't the case when he was able to find a car owned by the legendary and infamous rapper known as Tupac Shakur. During the early days of rap, Tupac Shakur was a true legend. His music is still respected to this day, and due to the way he passed, many think he's alive. Even though how he passed specifically is still a bit of a mystery outside of it being a sudden event. But this wasn't just a car owned by him. This was the literal car that Tupac was in when the drive-by happened that would eventually claim his life. The new owners had restored the vehicle a bit, but there was still plenty of proof that this was the real deal car that he was in during the event. Impressed by the find, Rick got his local appraiser to come in and give value to the car, which he said could be about $1 million, if not more. Despite some haggling, the deal couldn't be done, as the owners wanted much more than Rick was willing to offer. But even Rick noted that he had learned something from Chumlee that day, which, quote, is a pretty rare occasion. Rare occasion indeed. Sure, the deal wasn't done, but Chumlee earned something you can't buy. The respect of Rick Harrison, at least for that day. 1. The Stan Lee Experience.
All right, I have this comic strip here.
Wow. Oh, this brings back memories. John Romita drew it. He's wonderful.
Ask anyone in the comic book business and they'll tell you that selling comics isn't always easy or profitable. Sure enough, Chumlee has made some bad deals on comics that cost the pawn shop some money. But one time he got a good deal, a great experience, and a fantastic memory all in the course of a few hours. A customer came in with an enlarged comic book panel, which was given out for promotional reasons back when it was made. This happened a lot back then and still happens now to certain extents. But the real selling point was that it was signed by two comic legends. Artist John Romita, who had a long career in comics and has a son doing them now, and the one and only Stan Lee. Usually, seeing a Stan Lee signature would be enough for anyone to make a deal, even if it's fake. But instead of jumping the gun and hoping that the signatures were real, he decided to go to the source, as it were. He knew that Stan Lee was in town and actually took the customer to meet him. After getting to see Stan, they showed him the panels, and Stan Lee went full nostalgia. He recalled to him and John signing the panels, proving that it was real in the best way possible, while also allowing Stan to relive a no doubt cherished memory. Chumlee got this item for $5,000, which is a steal given the prominence of Lee and Romita in the comics world. And whoever has that panel page now likely has an even greater item in terms of price because of the recent passing of Stan Lee. We miss you, Stan. Excelsior! So, what do you think? Can you believe what luck and good stuff Chumlee did for the gold and silver pawn shop? Can you believe that he honestly made good deals despite being, Chumlee? Which of these was the best of deals in your mind? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.
Just a reminder about our new giveaway. We're giving away the new iPad Pro or the new iMac Pro. The choice is yours. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.